Well, good afternoon, good morning, AP World History students. Whenever you're logging in to see this, I'm hoping you hope you're doing well. This is a short video, maybe 12, 13 minutes, based on a shortcut that several teachers and I have discovered by looking at the 2020 AP exam rubric that can help to ensure that you can write a good enough quality DBQ answer within the 45-minute period on the exam. And the reason why it will be able to be done in 45 minutes is honestly because you don't need to do all 5 of the documents. Let me go through and explain to you what I'm talking about in regards to this. First off, the exam itself, the rubric, is based on a score of 1 to 10. If you've gone to the rubric already, if not, we're going to go to in a second. You get 1 to 2, sometimes on some things 3 points up to on certain parts of the DBQ. For example, you get 1 point for context, 1 point for thesis. So in the end, if you do it perfect, everything on a rubric gets scored on there, you'll have a score of 10 on your 2020 DBQ. Now, what will happen though is because the AP exams are always scored on a score of 1 to 5, after all the exams have been graded, College Board will go back and create an adjusted scale, basically going back to the traditional scale of 1 to 5. And they have to wait and see how everyone scores, and that's why they're waiting till all the tests have been graded in order to figure out how to do which test, which score here earns a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, etc. But looking at it just in the simplest terms, if you think 5 is half of 10 on this score, that means on the modified score for the AP level, a 5 would either be a 2 to a 3, depending on how everyone does on the DBQ. Looking at that, then, that a 5 being a 2, possibly a 3, then keep that in mind, then a score of 7 will easily be a 4. Okay? The reason why I say that, and you'll understand shortly, is the complexity point, only 2% of all the DBQs ever read each year, less than 2% of the students earn that complexity point. So 98% or more are going to score less than a 10 here. So keep in mind, a 7 is going to be a 4. 4 is a good grade to earn on your AP exam. It is also expected, and even the College Board mentions to people, oh, don't panic if you don't finish in time. This is more looking at the skills you have and what you have time to write. But if you don't finish your essay in 45 minutes, then you might not be able to score all the points up here to earn your 7. So what I am going to do is I am going to suggest. That's why it's capitalized here, the word suggested. This is just a suggested. This is not instructions for me saying you have to do this. In the end, you need to decide what kind of essay you want to write and what you want to do with your essay. But I am going to give you a suggestion, just so you're aware that it exists, of a strategy how you can make easily a score of 7, if not an 8, if you don't want to. If you want an 8 even, that can be written in a 45-minute time period. Okay, so let's look at your rubric. First off, of course, you need to write a strong thesis. Thesis is critical for the success for your rubric. Okay, so you have a point, and just right now we're going to pay attention of the items in red, and then we'll come back to the purple. But if you have your strong thesis, you've already earned your first point. Of course, we've already worked in your activity weeks and exemplars using contextualization. I don't know why there's a dash, I just caught that. But that's worth another point due. Do your context, get that point. That's an easy point. So you have 2 points already. And then your evidence is earned in 3 ways. And you can get up to 5 points in each of the 3 ways, or total from using the 3 ways. The first thing you want to do is you want to choose 2 documents that works best with your argument. And use that content of those 2 documents to address your topic. There's your third point. Then go through and come up with your own EBD. Think of EBD as a 6th document. Now, of course, you don't label it in your answer as document 6, but what you'll do is you'll come up with your own information as if it was another document and throw that historical content knowledge into your answer where you're writing now about this document, defending your thesis. to give additional knowledge, additional information to support your argument and make it stronger. Do that right now, just one time, and you've already scored 4 points. Let's look at the next page. The next part of the rubric is your analysis evidence. That is where you're talking about your HIP analysis. Okay? For the same 2 documents, don't go in and pick 3 more, any of the other 3 documents. You've chosen 2, stick with the 2 if you can. And for those same 2 documents, use your HIP analysis for both of them and explain from the the historical point of view, etc., how your document is relevant to your argument, to win your argument. Okay, this is the rubric. And there's your 2 points. And so far, you've already earned 6 points. 2 for analysis, 1 for EBD, 1 for using 2 to describe that you've also analyzed, and your context and thesis. You've already earned 6 points towards your final score, and you've only had to reference 2 of 4 or 5 documents. There's where you're saving time, not throwing in the additional documents to waste time writing on when you can get these points concentrating on the same 2. Now, 6, I would recommend you want to do better than that. So there's 2 ways to do it. The easiest way, in my opinion, is look down here. You can change that 1 point for EBD by doing a second EBD when you throw in your second document. Throw in some historical content information about the second document that you're analyzing and describing to help support that second argument. And suddenly you'll get 2 points instead of 1. There is your 7th point. You've already scored 7 out of 10 if you've done them all correctly. If you want to go further and you have time especially, go back and look at this one. In addition to using the content to address a topic, use the same 2 documents that you're talking about already to support your argument. Not only just, describing what's in the documents and having already analyzed them, but also use the content from the document and put it into an argument that supports what you are saying anyway in your thesis. And there is an extra point. That 1 point goes to 2, and there is an 8th point for your DBQ. I'm recommending don't even waste time looking at complexity. Okay? Don't even waste time looking at complexity. Less than 2% of the people get that point. Even Heimler is going to tell you on the video, if you haven't watched it yet, that you should be watching this week, that he doesn't even know how to teach it. No one knows how to teach it. Okay? So forget that point. But we have 8 points by doing this. The other point that we're not going to worry about is this one. Unless you're a strong, fast writer because you have time to do 4 documents, then if you want that perfect score and, complexity stuff, then do 4 documents. But that's only 1 point. By doing the other half of your DBQ, using 4 documents instead of 2, you get 1 point. If you stick to 2, you get the 2 points here. If you do the 2 EBDs there, and of course, if you analyze them both, you get your 2 points there. That is the secret for getting a good score on your DBQ in less than 45 minutes. Stick to the 2 documents that you wish to use. Now, of course, I've always mentioned this all year long. I always recommend to everyone, always put in some kind of safety cushion into your answers. My recommendation is, if you're a strong enough writer, do 3 documents. Not 3 EBDs, but 3 documents. If you do something poorly about one of your documents, you have your safety cushion, that 3rd document, to back up and save you the point. Because if you do one document really poorly, you can lose 2, if not 3, possibly even 4 if it's done really bad, points on your DBQ, and then there you won't pass. So keep in mind, the 2 documents is the bare minimum that you need to work with. But one mistake could cripple you. So you might want to consider using a 3rd document for that safety cushion. In summary, you can easily earn your 4 out of 5, which is a very good AP score, if you make that strong thesis. Keep your exemplars handy while you're working on your thesis and your context. Those two are critical, especially the thesis, in setting up the rest of your answer. Choose the two best documents that support your thesis, but I'm also going to strongly recommend find that third one that you can use also. If you can use 3 documents and 2 arguments, you can combine 2 documents together into the same argument. And even if the other document you use by itself is incorrect, combining those 2, if you've done them correctly, into that one paragraph will still count for 2 documents. And you've had that safety cushion save your rear end. So you might want to consider that. I strongly recommend find a third document that fits. Make sure you include not only the HIP analysis, since you have the chart sitting right there next to you on the table while you're putting your answer together. Do it. Analyze those docs. And make sure you explain how they're relevant to your argument. So you've described the content, you have mentioned how the documents are useful to supporting your argument, and you analyze them. You've done everything you need to do for the evidence except for the EBD. And then if you throw in 1, there's the 7th point. If you throw in 2 EBDs, 1 for each document, for example, there's an 8th point. You can do as well as you want if you plan things out ahead of time and shoot for that objective. You don't need to waste time on documents 4, document 5 even. Heimler says, oh yeah, do all documents for your cushion. You can do 3 documents and have that cushion. Okay, Heimler's not allowed, I don't think, to tell you how to do this shortcut. But in the end, it's up to you. If you feel safer doing 4 docs or doing 5 docs like you'll be practicing this week with Heimler, by all means do it. If you're going to try to do it with 2, that's fine. If you do them correctly, especially the one I score by the weekend, I will be scoring it just by looking at the rubric. I will not write you back and say, wait a minute, you've only included 2 or 3 documents in your answer. Where are the other 2 missing documents? I will not be looking for that because I'm not counting that. I am counting that you analyze 2 documents, that you describe the content of 2 documents. If you have 1 EBD, I'm counting if you have 2 EBDs. Just as the rubric says, I'll be putting those little check marks on there, marking in the margin what it is I find, not what I don't find. So keep that in mind, and those stronger writers, by all means, shoot for the 10, shoot for the 9. Those who have a little more difficulty writing, especially fast enough to do something of quality in 45 minutes, you might want to trim down and do some kind of a modified shortcut, not maybe all the way down to 2 documents, but like I strongly suggest, try for 3, if that helps. Just a suggestion, and I wish you all the very best of luck on your exam.